Greetings everyone. Welcome to Mathematical Modeling with Geometer Sketchpad classes. In this session we're going to be exploring how to make the simplest possible solar system. It is going to have circular orbits and in this case it's going to have the Sun, the Earth and the Moon. It's a three-body system. And as you'll see, we're going to have the Moon orbits the Earth as the Earth is orbiting the Sun. After this, we're going to go to more complex systems with more planets, more moons, and eventually, in the most advanced version, we're going to learn how to create elliptical paths, because that's how the actual solar system works with ellipses. And you're going to learn all kinds of effects, such as, let me just stop this so you can see it better, such as creating an animation with a tracing of the moon. So you can see all these interesting cyclic behaviors that the moons of the planets pursue. Alrighty, I hope you're psyched. This is definitely one of the most interesting things you can do with Geometer Sketchpad. So please go to Geometer Sketchpad 5.0 or higher, open a new sketch. I already have a page open, so I'm going to go to Document Options, and I'm going to add a blank page. Okay. You're going to need a circle, which is going to be the circle on which the planet Earth is going to travel. What I recommend is hiding once you like the size of your circle, hide the point on the circle so it doesn't confuse us with the Earth. Earth has to be a free point that you're going to plant. So I go to the point tool and I plant a free point on this circular path. And observe, this is a point that is free to move on the circle, but it cannot go anywhere else. So at this point, what we need to do is we need to give some thickness to the Sun and thickness to the Earth and create also the path for the Moon. So let's actually call this, let's start naming things so we keep good track of things. So let's call this Sun radius, because that's what it is. It controls the radius of the Sun. So I'm going to use this and that. So we're going to construct a circle around the point. Let's actually call that point the Sun so we know what we're talking about. So we're going to give some thickness to the Sun. So construct a circle. It's too big now, but I'm going to make this smaller. I'm going to select the circle and I'm going to construct its interior. And I like my Sun yellow. You could decide any other color you want. You could also change, remember, opacity from the properties. So let me just do it from the menu. You can see it better. You go to Edit, the properties, and opacity. If you make it really opaque, it will become much livelier. So here is the Sun. You could decide how big you want it to be. And let's do a similar thing for the Earth. I'm going to create here an Earth radius. Let's name things so we know what they are. So I'm going to call this Earth radius. And you can now select the center, and actually let's name it the Earth so we know what we're dealing with here. So this is the Earth, and it's going to have a radius which I'm going to later adjust. So select the Earth and the Earth's radius, construct circle by center radius. Let's construct its interior. I like my Earth to be blue. Let's make the opacity again higher, more opaque. Obviously, you don't want the Earth to be that big. Right now, we're just sort of playing with it. So here is your Earth that is going to go around the Sun. Finally, let's create an orbit for the Moon with the segment tool. Let's call this moon orbit. I'm not calling this moon radius because moon is going to be just a point. That's good enough. But the orbit of the moon needs to be big. So I'm going to call this moon's orbit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the center as the Earth point and moon's orbit as the radius. And I construct a circle by center radius. At this point, it is too large. You can see it goes into the sun. And once you have the orbit ready, you can plant your moon. And if you want to call that the moon, then we know what it is. Alrighty, everything is ready for animation. So now we're gonna select the Earth, select the moon, go to Edit, Action Buttons, Animation. You could decide all kinds of things about speeds, directions. Let's actually have the Earth go at medium speed, but let's have the moon go fast. If you wanted to go really fast, you could go to the other option and type your own numbers. So fast right now is 1.667. You could make it go much faster. Let's actually put a 3 there and see what happens. Okay, and you could test your button, and you can see that the Earth is moving around the sun as the moon is going around the Earth. Okay. I personally like to hide these parameters, so I'm going to go to Edit Action Buttons. Actually, let's stop the animation for a second. I'm going to select all these things, the radius controls, etc. I'm going to create a button for them, Hide and Show button. So this way they can be invisible. I also like to create a ShowHide button for the orbits of the Earth and the moon. So let's create, and you could edit these. You could just say things like, let's hide the orbits. Okay, and always a good idea to test that it works. And this way it looks a little bit cleaner at the end if you want to hide things. As a final thing, I like my space to look with a spacey color, so I'm gonna go change the background to black. You could have all kinds of spacey colors. And let me show you one last thing. This moon, you could create a trace option for it. You could go to Display Trace, and as you animate, it will have a trace there. And one of the interesting features of Sketchpad 5.0 is that when you go to your preferences again, go to color, you could decide how quickly you want to fade your traces. You could have them fade very quickly or very slowly. So let's do an animation, and you can see what's happening here. If at one point you decided, yeah, I want the Earth orbit to be, the sun to be bigger, the Earth to be bigger or smaller, or the moon orbit to be bigger, you could decide on that. Of course, because we created our background black, we can't see the writing, but you could have decided to write them in a different color than black. Okay, so here is all kinds of fun things you could do with this. In the next lesson, we're going to learn how to create one more object, this time circling around the moon. Something like an Apollo spacecraft. So that way you'll get an idea how complex behaviors you can achieve by creating circles moving on circles that are moving on other circles, etc. Those are called cycloids in general. Alrighty, I hope you had a good time and enjoy creating your first solar system. It should be a fun exercise. Take care.